Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and early. It's not even 4 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. You know, if it's 3:30 a.m., I am fired up. I got a good video here. This is a good video. I got Tucker Carlson busted dead to rights, playing stupid, feigning ignorance right here in this video. Busted. All right, let's start at the very beginning. I came across an article talking about Tucker Carlson and Pete Buttigieg. All as usual, links will all be down below. And this article, Pete Buttigieg is talking about. I got to be careful how I phrase this. Roads that reflected racism, and I understand basically what he's talking about here. It's a lot harder. It was a lot harder back, even when I was a kid, to buy a car than it is now. People with less means, poorer people, minorities, it was much harder. Even in the 80s, I bought my first car with $2,000 I had saved up when I was 16 years old with a paper route that I had had since I was 13, actually 5 different paper routes. And I saved up this money. I mean, not just because I was 15, but you couldn't lease or do things the way they do today with just initial down payment, stuff like that. You had to have cash up front or a bank loan. It was much harder for people with less means, poor people, minorities, to have their own transportation. Therefore, they rode buses, public transportation. And you think this is pretty common knowledge. All right. There's a clip. I'm going to include this clip down below. Tucker Carlson, all smarmy as usual. Man, when he gets excited, I noticed his voice goes up high. And oh my God, this guy grates on my nerves. So he's making fun of Pete Buttigieg. He's saying, racist, how could a road be racist? It's like a toaster. And he's playing all stupid. Roads are inanimate objects. They can't, And then he kind of admits a little bit, because he goes to a clip of Pete Buttigieg, and Pete Buttigieg explains that people of color and poor people took buses, and these roads were constructed so that the underpasses would not be able to fit the buses. And then he goes back to Tucker Carlson. This is a clip from his show. And then he starts getting all smart again. And he goes, well, geez, they must have herded the poor people and the people of color into the double-decker buses, because somehow the white kids on the other buses could magically pass under these overpasses. They must have been magical overpasses. And he's playing all stupid. Let me say this too. He starts off this video by saying, we all wonder what would happen if there was a room full of stupid people and they all started arguing or having a conversation. Hilarity would ensue. This is how he starts the video off. In this piece, he's playing stupid, right? I never gave this whole thing a lot of thought, but I have direct experience. Now I researched this, and it's a known fact that what Pete Buttigieg is saying is the truth. All right, so this morning I started thinking about roads around here. I was a truck driver in my 30s. I drove hardwood flooring. There's a road here in Connecticut called the Merritt Parkway. It was designed by George L. Duncanberger in 1938, before the Interstate Highway of 95. Okay, and it was specifically designed because the more wealthy. It says this, I'll have the clip down below, in the Hartford Courant. It's acknowledged that the residents, the wealthier residents they called it the Gold Coast here in Connecticut. Greenwich, Westport, you guys all across the country and the world have probably heard of this. Greenwich, Westport, Southport. These are, some of the most wealthiest places in the country, if not the world. And I used to deliver hardwood flooring, millions of dollars of Brazilian cherry and all this exotic hardwood I would deliver to beach houses. And I could, and I had a flatbed, and I couldn't get under the Merritt Parkway, because it's a beautiful road, but it's designed specifically with these rounded bridges, so you can't get buses or trucks or anything on the Merritt Parkway. And coincidentally, it runs right up the coast. So it separates the wealthy coast from the rest of Connecticut in the big cities. I never gave this a whole lot of thought. I have to drive around. What would be a 5-minute drive would take me 45 minutes because I would have to wind and twist my way on all these back roads to finally get to a beach house to deliver their hardwood flooring. I never gave this a lot of thought. And the first article I came across in the Hartford Courant, like I said, the link will be down below, acknowledges that there's a lot of aesthetics. These are some of the most beautiful bridges in the country. They're Art Deco with fancy steel and concrete designs in them. They're beautiful, but they're also designed as a barrier because the wealthier people in Connecticut along the coast did not want the people, the low-income minorities from New York City coming up through their forests and into their beaches. It's a fact. It's a known fact. These people owned their own cars, their own transportation. It was not a problem for them. Tucker Carlson, feigns ignorance in this video. Geez, they must have had magic buses, and he knows damn well what he's saying is just a flat-out lie. And the people that are watching this, they even if they're Trump supporters, they must be smart enough to understand what's going on here. So I thought about this Merritt Parkway. I was like, I never gave it a whole lot of thought because it was a big problem every day when I was trying to complete my job, getting my, that was my route down along the coast, and I never gave it a lot of thought. It also had very limited on and off ramps, so people from the city just couldn't get on the highway. It had very limited access, and you'll demolish a bus or a truck if you try to drive on there, like I said, because the bridges are rounded. It'll take the top of the bus or the truck right off. Nice design, and it's purposely designed. George L. Duncanberger, there's articles on this. This is why they were designed, to keep people, inner city people, out of the beaches here in Connecticut, and the forests, the parks, and the beaches. Specifically. It's a fact. All right. So I started thinking more, too, when I was a kid. This was in the 70s. My dad became the park ranger of a state park here in Connecticut, Black Rock State Park in Watertown, Connecticut. And he was the head man. We lived in the state house. It was kind of like a log cabin inside the park, and he ran a group of employees. They would build the picnic tables, they would do the garbage runs, they kept the park up, they built everything. My father we lived in the park, and he was in charge of everyone. I remember, now I was a kid, he died when I was 9. I remember when I was 7 or 8, my dad would bring me in the shop, and I'd be around all the guys working. And they'd bring me on the I used to love going on the garbage runs. Sometimes they would actually let me, a 7-year-old boy, let me hang off the rear view mirrors of the dump truck because that's how they picked up the garbage. One time I fell and I almost got ran over by the back wheels of the dump truck, and the employees never told my father about that. I remember the back wheel coming at me this far away. Anyway, and I specifically remember these guys talking about when the school buses, because there would be some days during the week, during the summer, there'd be a line of yellow school buses up in the parking lot. And these were days that they would not let me go in the dump truck. They would keep me out of the park when the school buses were there. These were buses from the city of the city near here, Waterbury, and specifically bringing in mostly minority people. And I remember here, this was like almost an epiphany this morning when I went back in my mind and I started thinking about this. I hadn't thought about this in years. And I remember hearing them talking about how they thought these minorities would use the lake for a bathroom, and they didn't want the Caucasian children swimming in there. Seriously, I heard this over and over again when I was a kid. I think I actually started to believe it. I remember, now, I love my dad passed away, God bless him. I love him. I love my mom and everything. But I remember we had a swimming pool. And it was specifically, even though I could see the lake from my house, we had a pool that we would swim in. So we wouldn't have to swim in the lake, I regret to say it was a different time then, and some of my relatives weren't so enlightened racially. But these are some of the things I remembered. So Tucker Carlson sitting here, all smarmy, saying that, oh, the Caucasian kids must have had magical buses, or they must have had, he goes on to say this too, that there must have been guards along the highway that would let the Caucasian buses pass, you know. So he's acting all smart and smarmy in this video. Like, and then he's calling Pete Buttigieg and everybody else, these are stupid people. Look at these stupid people in this room. It's hilarious. Talking about roads, you know, reflecting racism. When he's sitting there and he actually knows the facts. He's got to know the facts. He can't be possibly that stupid. I'll put all the links down below. The Merritt Parkway and why, designed by George L. Duncanberger, specifically to keep inner city people, minorities, and poor people off the beaches of Connecticut. It's a fact. All right. You guys have a good Tuesday. I'll be back later with another video.